Good evening and welcome to tonight's Web Exclusive.
We're going to dive deep into D3 and women's play as well as recap D2 games against Ferris.
Stay tuned.
This is Inside Chippewa Hockey. Chippewas were able to put 3 more wins in the book this weekend after taking on Lawrence Tech and Ferris State University, extending their winning streak to 16 games. Things would kick off in Southfield on Friday evening. Nick Wink brings the puck up ice and around the back of the net. He completed a shorthanded goal to bring the Chippewas lead 3-1.
Honestly, one of the greatest goals that I've ever seen, and one of the things we always love to talk about is how Nick Wink never has boring goals. That's bringing back that old adage. What a goal.
Dalton Sutherland gains control of the puck, passes it over to Jake St. Andre. St. Andre gets it over to Ryan Tyre, who scores, completing a hat trick.
Ryan Tyre, unbelievable this weekend. He was a puck hound out there. He found that one right loose to the front of the net, played a little bit of Sutherland style, and got the goal.
Jake St. Andre takes the puck back and fires a beautiful shot. Central Michigan now up 6-2.
St. Andre absolutely roofing it right there. Beautiful blue line shot to get it over the head of the goaltender.
After completing a 10-2 victory, the Chippewas came home to see LTU at Ice Arena. Dalton Sutherland gets the puck over to Ryan Tyre. Tyre over to Jake St. Andre. St. Andre back to Tyre in front of the net, and he scores the second goal of the game.
Yeah, Tyre in perfect positioning to put that one into the back of the net. St. Andre and that Sutherland line, the passing is so crisp. They just know where each other's going to be. Easy goal for the Chippewas.
Michael Croft brings the puck over to Blue Devils territory, gets it over to Joey Simoncelli in front of the net, who takes a beautiful shot and scores.
Simoncelli going top cheddar right there. A great shot from the young man to get that one and give the Chippewas more of a lead.
Dalton Sutherland brings the puck up the ice with a little movement. He fires a backhanded shot right through LTU's goaltender.
Less than 2 seconds to go in that period, and a beautiful pass from Ryan Tyre. Shakes and shivels around a man and gets this one up to Dalton Sutherland. Little 5-hole action, slow roller of a puck. Beautiful goal.
With now 2 wins on the weekend against LTU, Central Michigan travels to Ferris State University to continue their winning streak. Dalton Sutherland gets the puck over to Ryan Tyre in the right circle. Tyre fires a shot to the back of the net for the first goal of the game.
How do you like a game hat trick for Ryan Tyre? A goal in each game of the weekend and a beautiful shot from the top of the circle. Ryan Tyre's shot has been divisive this entire season, and it's been beautiful.
Dylan Billings gets the puck back up to Patrick Bresser at the blue line. Bresser takes a shot, and Billings is able to tip it in front of the net.
As Jared Nyland said on the broadcast, a beautiful tip in front from Dylan Billings off of a phenomenal shot, a rocket from Patrick Bresser. You see that tip job right there, a clear redirect from number 9.
The Chippewas find themselves in overtime, tied up at 3. Jared Nyland has the call.
Right behind the net now. He's got defense with him. Right in front, Billings. They score! Dalton Sutherland buries it, and Central Michigan wins the game in overtime. What a goal by Central. 25 seconds remaining in the period. 16 games straight, baby, for the Central Michigan Chippewas. Dalton Sutherland, the hero here at Ferris State University.
We saw penalties become a problem for the Chippewas yet again this past weekend. What do the Chippewas have to do to get it under control?
Really the big thing for me, and especially when you have as young players out there as Cadzo put out there, this was obviously not a huge test of a weekend going against teams like Lawrence Tech and Ferris, but for those younger players, it's about positioning, playing the man and not the puck. Don't make the lazy play. If you're gonna get behind, don't try and hook to go back for that puck. Don't get the stick between the legs. Just get your positioning right, and everything will work out for you. Because these penalties are avoidable penalties. There's the good penalty to take, like knocking someone down as they're on the way alone to the front of the net, and then there's just being way behind the play and hooking somebody.
I really don't think throughout, you look at the last 16 games, as Lindsay alluded to, the Chips are 16-0. Their last loss came back at Oakland University on October the 21st, 3-2 loss actually in the third period, which they were down 3-0 and almost came back to win that game. Since then, they've outscored teams 153-30, and they've been shut out only 2 periods in their last 48 periods of play. So as much as this team takes penalties, they're still winning. And whatever they're doing right now is still a recipe for success. I don't mind the penalties at all. I don't think Kadzow's going to care that much as long as this team keeps winning and stays on the streak that they're at going into playoffs.
I think where we saw it become a huge problem was on Sunday when we had a really, really close game like that, and they had power play opportunities and they weren't taking advantage of those by taking those dumb penalties. So I think that's what I'm talking about. How do they take advantage of those scoring opportunities and reduce those dumb penalties?
It's really odd for me because Central Michigan on 5-on-5 is one of the best teams in the country. With scoring, it speaks for itself, but when they get the man advantage, usually they're operating over 30% for the most part of the season, but this past weekend, they just couldn't get it together, and I really struggled to figure out why. It's like their passing was just not as crisp, and when they had their opportunities, they weren't having clean chances to the front of the net.
I think one thing you could also notice as well is Kadzow, I believe, to balance the scoring up and down the lineup between his 2 power play units, he's taken Allgaier off that power play 1 unit, away from Tyre and Sutherland, and he's put him down to the 2. So I think if they are having any struggling offensively, which up and down this stat sheet, I don't see any, but if they want to spark in that lineup, I think putting Allgaier back with Tyre and Sutherland can definitely do that.
There are so many players that we can talk about for Player of the Weekend, but one stood out to, I think, all of us. Ryan Tyre completed a hat trick on Friday and then continued to score in both of the other games. How do you think the adjustments to his line affected that?
Well, you know, the thing that we see very differently with having Gator move down to the 3rd line to kind of boost that line, like DJ was saying earlier about having that scoring balanced. I think with having St. Andre out there, I think you're seeing better passes because of Sutherland and Andre know where they're going to be. So you're seeing that passing get through, and Tyre kind of moved into Sutherland's position of being right in front of the net. Obviously, he had a few goals over the weekend that were more from, in the low slot area, but I think he kind of took over that role, and we're going to see high goal production coming up here from Tyre.
I like the guys that sacrifice for the team, that do what's best, and I alluded to that all last semester with the D2. But I'm going to go with Nathan Allgaier. I think he's made a sacrifice for his team, for his coach, to take less minutes, not be out there so much on the shifts. The guy is definitely a great offensive complement to Ryan Tyre and Dalton Sutherland. But like you said, Jake St. Andre, they're going to have better passes off that wing. They're going to have better timing with the slot and the one-timers to feed the puck in the middle when they need to. So I do like the transition, and it's working out for him really well.
Speaking of Tyre's new line mate, Jake St. Andre, how do you think his contributions has impacted the team in other ways?
It showed off right as soon as he got here. I mean, obviously, the chemistry that you can have. Senior season of high school, Dalton and St. Andre combined for 160 points. And if they had St. Andre the entire season, you could be seeing that exact same thing. But I think having that chemistry is so crucial.
I think also what goes along to the chemistry is the speed that St. Andre has. He's a little bit faster than Allgaier is. You could tell sometimes Allgaier, even though he is in the right place at the right time, a lot of times he's somewhat maybe a second and a half behind the play, and it's by no fault of his own. It's because Dalton Sutherland and Ryan Tyre are so fast, and Nathan Allgaier is such a big guy. It's like Shrek on skates on the first line. You've just got to give them time to catch up, and they don't have to worry about that with St. Andre. So the complement of the chemistry you allude to, I believe, is the speed of Jake St. Andre.
What about the other new players that we have? How do you see their additions impacting the team?
Not just new in the sense of being new to the team as in just joining at the semester, like Ryan Frazier, who really didn't officially join at the semester because he was a practice player for the second half of the first semester. But I think seeing a lot of the newer guys, newer in the sense of being freshmen who get more playing time now, them stepping up is crucial not just for this team right now and having the ability to have kind of those practice squad guys get into games, which rest the legs of the superstars a little bit more. It just balances out that Central Michigan team, and it makes them better as the season will go on, and they need that depth.
Well, and I think that was the one key thing that you hit on. It's going to bring them depth, especially coming close to a playoff run. This is a team that's played 30 games. They're 26-4. They're outscoring every opponent 229-63. That's a total goal differential for their entire season. So they're going to need some depth coming into the playoffs here pretty soon when it kicks off here. In about less than, 7 weeks away?
Getting close.
For the rest of the semester, CMU will see Northwood, Calvin College, and the University of Michigan. How do you predict the rest of the season will play out for the Chippewas?
I'm a little scared of the fact that the Chippewas have such gimme games here. These are definitely teams that do not stand a reasonable chance against Central Michigan. Northwood last weekend lost 7-2 to U of M Flint. Calvin, it's the JV team that moved up to the MCHC. The only real opponent I see is Michigan, and last season they had a bit of a stumble against the Wolverines, but I'm worried about a trap series coming up here, and it very well could be Michigan, but at the same time, I know this Cadzo team, and we have not seen them fall for traps. Save Ferris on Sunday, which was a little bit of systems errors and having kind of that longer weekend, but I feel very good for Central Michigan to close out.
The only thing that scares me a little bit here is that one injury that can be in a game that means nothing, that can cost you an entire postseason. As far as the win-loss column goes, I'm not worried about that. I think maybe they drop a game to Michigan, 5-1. They're still going to end up with one of the top seeds when the playoffs start here. But what I'm worried about is injury. This team cannot afford to have a guy like Dalton Sutherland or Ryan Tyre or St. Andre go down and be out for the rest of the playoffs. That is going to hurt them significantly, so keep their guys healthy.
CMU hasn't seen a team able to beat them since October, and I don't see them having a problem taking care of the upcoming teams that they have yet to face. How do you think this will affect them when they start to approach tougher teams coming up towards regionals?
I was talking to Tyler about this after last week and about how easy it is coming up here, but the big thing is they have MCHC playoffs coming up after. So yeah, they have an easy schedule to close off second semester, but they got to go against the best of the best before they go to regionals, which if they lock up the number 2 seed, they won't even have to worry about until nationals to go up against the best of the best in the entire country. So MCHC is that perfect precursor heading to nationals.
I think it's like you said, a precursor, a prelude, I guess, a way to stay warm. You know how in football you have, your top 10 teams, they'll play what's called a tune-up game in Appalachian State or UAB Birmingham. So this is basically tune-up games for the next 3 weekends before they get into playoffs. It's a time for them to stay in the routine, stay on the ice, stay practicing, stay healthy, but at the same time, still compete, still have the winning attitude, because the tempo and the competition is going to change very drastically from the very moment they play game one in the very first round.
CMU will face our neighbors Northwood University in Midland this Friday and then come home to Ice Arena on Saturday. What do you think playing a team as defeatable as Northwood will do for the Chippewas?
It's the big thing with Northwood is they're such a gritty team that they have nothing to lose, and it's always such a physical game. I usually think it's the most physical game of the entire season for Central. Northwood likes to hit, and I hate to call a team dirty, but there is a lot of behind-the-play stuff from both teams when a series like this happens, and it's really that geography, I think. So I'm worried about what DJ was talking about earlier in kind of having that chance of injury. This is a series that is beatable no matter what line you put out there, and I truly believe that, or else I wouldn't say it. I think you kind of give the starters a few shifts, but kind of lean down more to your third and fourth liners.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have them at anywhere above 20 minutes. I would keep Sutherland and Tyre especially somewhere limited between 13 and 15 minutes. And then double and triple shift some of your third and fourth line guys like Nick Wink. Those guys can go ahead and fill in those slots to give Sutherland and Tyre some rest, because they're going to need some stamina going down the length of the season here as playoffs creep up on us right around the corner.
Now let's go to our Player of the Weekend voting, where we choose who we think will be the Player of the Weekend after all the games have finished. My pick for this week is Shane Agnello. I think that Shane, we saw him take, we saw him score on Friday, but I think that we've seen him take a lot of other really close opportunities that he just wasn't able to find the back of the net. So I think this weekend we're going to see him do that.
And that's a popular pick for me. I picked him 2 weeks ago, but I'm personally going to take Brennan Martin. He's someone who I feel like haven't given enough credit to. He's really been an offensive spark plug out there as a defenseman, and as I've talked about, or as I've mentioned before, I love those defensive players who can really create offense. Brennan Martin, I call him big man on campus every time I see him. Big man on campus this weekend.
I'm going to go ahead and go with Trevor Whitehead, because the last 2 games that I've seen, he's been 1 save away from back-to-back shutouts, both in the Davenport game and in the Ferris State game, the last 2 that were at home. So I think I really love the confidence that head coach James Cadzow has shown in Trevor Whitehead. He's been getting a lot more starts between the pipes, and his movement from side to side covering the post, holding stuff short side, not letting it get roofed over his shoulder, just maintain that kind of sustainability throughout the third period. I think he's going to have, I don't want to call it a bounce back weekend, but I think he might be able to put up a goose egg on the scoreboard this week.
All right.
And our Dale's dark horse for the second week in a row is Joey Simon-Selly. Be sure to head to Twitter to vote for who you think will be the player of the weekend against Northwood. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, Stephanie and Shawn will recap the women's weekend series versus Michigan State.
If you're like me, when you have some downtime, you like to play video games and watch anime. Though, you may not have anyone to talk to about these two hobbies. If that's the case, check out MHTV's brand new show, Downtime. My friends and I get together, have guests on, and we talk about gaming topics. We also discuss the latest anime being shown this season. So, if you have some downtime, come spend it with us at 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Charter Channel 189.
Battle of 127, MSU heads to Ice Arena. And Barnett fires a long one, Massa tips it in, and the Chippewas tie it up.
Yeah, Alyssa Massa finally coming up with her first goal of the season for the Chippewas. A great shot from Barnett. She's gotten really strong at the blue line, and great positioning from Alyssa.
Jessica Killingback coming up the red line. She circles the net, and she scores.
A great shot here from the short side from Jessica Killingback. She's like a shark out there. She finds an open spot, completely exploits it, and gives Central Michigan a 2-1 lead. Another beautiful shot from Jessica Killingback, and her first of the semester in the goal column.
Sachel moves it up to Killingback, 2-on-1, charge the net. Killingback takes a shot and scores.
Toe drag from Jessica Killingback. It's her bread and butter, and she does it so well. See it right there. Move the defender out of position, wide open net. She's not going to miss a roofer like that.
CMU looks for the sweep at Munn for a breakfast battle. Killingback slides up the outside of the net, fires, and she scores 27 seconds in.
Again, no time wasted here from Jessica Killingback, and she does the same thing she did all weekend long, that top shelf shot. It's a beauty.
Out from the corner, Katie Iandali tries to jam it into the net, and she gives them the lead.
This one finds its way through on a few different ways. Alex LaRue can't cover that one up, and it pays off here for Michigan State. Take advantage of the mistake and put it in the back of the net.
And a 2-on-1 rush turns into a 1-on-1. Shannon McKenna charges right up to the net to give Michigan State the insurance goal.
This is reminiscent of the goal that we saw from Dalton Sutherland. Less than 2 seconds to goal, she sneaks that one through, and the script was flipped on Central Michigan. 3-1 come from behind win for Michigan State at home.
Last weekend, we saw the women's team pick up their second win of the season against MSU. Although the team is in a tough conference, they're putting up quite a fight. Shawn, what would it take for this team to close the small gaps that we're seeing in many of the games?
Right now what you're really seeing is the youth of this team, and it's not just in class, it's in the length of time that these players have played together. Yes, they've had 10 games, but they're almost to the end of their season and they've played 10 games. Having a lot of freshmen on the team, and a lot who have stepped up, like Alyssa Massa and Julia Sachel, having them is a great thing to have for potential going forward. And right now, the ceiling is very high for Central Michigan women's hockey in the years to come. But you are not seeing that full 60-minute effort to be able to close out games just yet because of how young they are. The big thing for them is going to be continuous on-ice bonding, getting to know where each other is going to be, and making sure that they work on that on the ice, in-game, and apply the skills that they're learning in practice. It's one thing that head coach Brittany Knopp really talked to the ladies about before Northern. What you practice is what you do when you play. And they really took to that as soon as they got to Northern. And you saw them play a very good series that they should have won.
That being said, do you think we'll see the team make it to the CCWHA playoffs?
The position is preferable for them right now because Notre Dame has only played 4 games this entire season. Notre Dame is currently ranked number 10 in the ACHA West region because of the potential of the games that they have won. Central Michigan was supposed to open their season against Notre Dame, but they had to reschedule with Aquinas. They have 1 game behind Notre Dame right now. They close out their season against Notre Dame. If they sweep that series, they're in for sure. That's the way that I feel. They have Northern Michigan coming up at home, a series they could have at least split last time they played against the Wildcats. I think Central Michigan, if they really apply the skills that they need to, they can make the playoffs at the number 4 spot down in Kalamazoo.
Now, the ladies have a couple of weeks off. How will this break impact the team?
One of the things that I talked about earlier is on-ice bonding, and that's a term that was really used in the locker room during their first film session of this semester. They were talking about that third line with Annie Willits, Michaela and Marissa Guza, the 2 new additions to the Central Michigan women's hockey team. And they're twins. They both played at Jubilee High School, and they know where each other is on the ice at the all time. I always like to say it on the broadcast as twin telepathy. And it seems like they make passes that have no business making it to each other, but they make it there because they're familiarized with where the other is going to be on the ice. And head coach Brittany Knopp wanted to really instill that. They wanted to make sure that these lines knew where the other line mate was going to be. Make the passes. Know where the person's going to be on the ice. If you're seeing a player like Jessica Killingback, she's going to be high slot. Anastasia Hartman, she's usually going to play left wing side. Know where they're going to be, get that puck to them, and see what kind of potential you can get. If you crash the net, which is something that Central Michigan's talked about so much, they have a chance against Northern Michigan. It's a few weeks away, and they have a lot of time to prepare, but I think this team can really make an impact having this kind of time off.
Their next series is another chapter of the Peninsula Wars against number 4 Northern Michigan on February 10th and 11th. In early January, CMU came up short with 3-1 and 2-0 losses in Marquette. What does the team need to change in this series to take away a win?
The big thing for me is, like I said, crashing the net has been something that the coaches have talked about, goaltender Alex LaRue has talked about, but playing like they want to win it. They cannot close out games just yet. The best game they've played all season, even better than that win against Aquinas, was that game against Michigan State at home. They played a full 60 minutes. Their forecheck was demanding. Goaltender play, as always, was solid with Alex LaRue, but I was mostly impressed with the way that they were communicating out there. When they got down early, they immediately worked to get back into it. And obviously, Jessica Killingback is going to get hers, and she got hers. But seeing a goal scorer like Alyssa Massa get to the front of the net and redirect one right to the front of the net and find its way through, that's massive. The big thing that Central Michigan needs to do is they need to finish, because they could have at least split against Northern Michigan when they were in Marquette, and I know they're hungry for blood next time they see the Wildcats.
First split of the new semester for the ladies with plenty of notable performances. But Shawn, you're not going with someone whose impact was felt on the score sheet.
I was very impressed with the play of Julia Sachel in this series. Julia Sachel, and I've talked about it this entire semester, she's a freshman, but she's playing out there like she's one of the captains on this team. The way that she moves the puck up ice, she's like an offensive defenseman redefined. She almost sets the tone of what an offensive defenseman should be. She creates opportunity, she's a havoc forcer, and she drives the corner like nobody's business. We saw it last weekend. If you take a look at the highlights once again, Julia Sachel was leading the charge both in her play and how she was sticking up for the team. She got in a few scuffles against the Spartans again when they were both at Munn Ice Arena and when they were at Ice Arena. She wasn't afraid to go after them. She does not play like a freshman, and you have that kind of mentality, that kind of tone set, you're going to impress the hell out of me. And right now, I am very impressed with Julia Sachel, and her play is only getting better as she gets hungrier.
When we come back, DJ Palm rejoins Lindsay to take an objective review of D2's season up to this point.
This semester, MHTV presents Nobody Watches Season 3. A show with questionable quality and, more stuff. Nobody Watches Season 3, airing Mondays at 1 and 8 p.m., greeting you with new episodes every other week.
Something catch your eye? Tonight's gonna be perfect. I can feel it. Nothing could go wrong.
There's my birthday girl. Did you really expect things to work out?
I just wanted one good night.
D2 team didn't play this past weekend due to a cancellation from Davenport University. The last time we saw the D2 team play was 2 weeks ago when they took on Ferris State. A tough weekend kicked off when they traveled to Ferris on January 12th. Lance McLean fires a backhanded puck past the Chippewa's goaltender, raising their lead 4-1.
Yeah, this was a little bit of a bad play here. The right defenseman got caught trying to cheat up. Turnover in the neutral zone leads to a goal, and he's not standing in his spot there. Easy tap in for Ferris State.
Later in the second period, FSU fires a shot past Smith. Their lead now 7-1.
This was a bad clearing attempt that failed. And when 9 times out of 10, when you don't clear the puck out of your zone, it's going to be a shot attempt at the net. Half the time, it's going to be a goal. So, got to be able to clear that puck. And it was just a failure that led to the goal. 7-1 Ferris State.
CJ Myers gets the puck out in front of the net to Justin McComas, who tips it in for the Chippewas' second goal of the game.
Good job by Myers here to keep his head down, look and know where the puck is, and then watch his counterpart on the other side, McComas, be able to cash that one in. It was a good forced turnover. Wish that could happen a little bit more in the first and second.
After a tough 9-2 loss on Friday, the Chippewas came home to face the Bulldogs at Ice Arena. Ethan Pites takes a shot from the slot, finding the back of the net for the Bulldogs on power play.
Yeah, you could tell Jack Valentine here felt a little bit bad. It was one that squeaks through the 5-hole. If it's going to hit you, you better save it, and he did it. Ended up squeaking through the skate blades. 2-0.
Matthew Madonis makes a backhanded pass over to Daniel Davis. Davis scores, raising the Bulldogs' lead 5-0.
This is that famous backdoor play where you've got a guy with the puck carrying it into the high slot, and you saw Daniel Davis just chilling over there in the corner waiting for the backhand pass. Beautiful eyes there for Madonis.
Chippewas on power play in the second period. Justin McComas knocks the puck out of midair to the back of the net.
This was a good setup play off of a face-off win, and a good job from Josh Kirby there to go D to D. And they find the open man along the left wing, top of the circle, who finds McComas. And McComas, great hand-eye coordination to knock it in the back of the net.
Back at the desk with me is DJ Palm.
What's up,
DJ,
girl?
what's up?
We're back.
We haven't seen much from the D2 team yet this semester, but last semester we really saw them struggle to put the pieces together. What do you think the biggest struggles were for them last semester, and how are they changing it going into this semester?
Consistency has been a big problem for them. Consistency in depth, consistency in health, and consistency with their style of play. And it's hard to stay consistent when you have the kind of limited personnel that head coach Brian Knopp has. He's doing everything he can to try and change things up as far as mixing up lines. But when you have 14 players on your roster, 2 of them being goalies, the kind of play that you need to compete with to win games is just going to be unsustainable when you have guys playing upwards of 35, 40 minutes a night. It's just not going to be a recipe for success. And I think the biggest changes that are going to be coming into the semesters, you're going to see probably guys a lot shorter shifts. You're going to see 15, 20-second shifts so that head coach Brian Knopp can kind of spread these guys out stamina-wise from first to third period.
Coming into this semester, we exchanged quite a few players. What do you know about the team and the players as it currently stands?
Well, it's basically a whole start-over session. You've lost a lot of players to academic ineligibility. And you've just straight up lost some players who basically just didn't want to play on the team anymore. And I guess from a player's standpoint, I can understand that. It's hard to go out there and constantly skate around and get destroyed 15-16-2 sometimes. But at the same time, you're walking out on your teammates and you're letting each other down at some point in time. And I think that that's what's going on in the locker room. You've got a lot of disappointment right now with going to be some leadership changes. I wouldn't be surprised if Justin McComas starts wearing that C on the sweater. I think he's going to be the guy that's going to have to ultimately step up and take over this team and start leading by example, just because they have lost so many key players through the semester break.
So with the loss of their captain, Kyle Chapman, you kind of mentioned that you would like to see Justin McComas stand up, or you think that he would take on that role as the captain. What other players do you think that you see stepping up in that role?
It would have to be Kyle Bolger and Scott Brower. These guys, you're looking at them now having to play upwards of 35, 40 minutes and lead on those number 1 lines, and it's just what you have to do when you lose personnel like that. So I think you're definitely going to see a leadership change. I wouldn't be surprised to see Justin McComas wearing the C. And then Kyle Bolger and Scott Brower being the A's. Those guys have got to step up and lead this team if they have any chance of turning this season around, because it's not been a good start, and it's been a very disappointing continuation here into the second semester.
With a lot of obstacles to come for the rest of the season, what do the rest of the players have to do to stay optimistic and finish out strong?
Play with heart. Play with heart. I mean, I think obviously you can probably kiss a playoff berth goodbye. It's not going to be there. Take some time to enjoy the rest. You do not play until the very last weekend of the regular season. Practice, condition, because you're going to be out there a long time, and try and close off your season with back-to-back wins. You're basically playing for pride at this point, and possibly for a spot on the team next season.
Well, that'll wrap it up for D2 and our first episode of the spring semester. Thank you for joining us on Inside Chippewa Hockey. Make sure to follow along with our live coverage this weekend on ChippewaHockeyNetwork.com. And as always, fire up Chips.
Thank you.